All right, there we go. People starting to pull into the lot right now, getting ready for Cannonball Chronicles tonight. Hey man, this is Chris with CycleSource Magazine. I'm going to be your engineer this evening and take you guys on a wild ride through America's greatest motorcycle race and the hosts who celebrate the riders, machines, and epic stories that come out of the motorcycle cannonball. We're going live in just 3.5 minutes, but that's enough time for me to tell you guys to mash the like and share button. Let your friends and neighbors know that we're going live with another killer program through the Chopper Town and CycleSource networks. Great to see all you here tonight. Put up your hometown. We'll give you a little shout out. It's going to be a killer show. Big surprises tonight. 3 minutes. We're going live. Stick around. Already seeing New Jersey in the audience. No surprise there. Walter Bednarski, what's up? Mary Butts, Team Butts, Minnesota. Hey, you're in our prayers up there, Minnesota. Chris Tribby in the house. Chris Johnson, Bradyville, Tennessee. Ride free and rock on. Thank you, brother. Tim Kearns in the house. Go home, Camel. You're drunk. Nancy Keener in from Maryland. Great to see all you guys. What a killer way. Get over the hump. Sit back and relax, enjoy some stories from the Cannonball Chronicles. Keith Cronoff, Lancaster County Motorcycle Club. Just 2 minutes now. 2 minutes, we're short time. Grab a drink, get ready. 2 minutes to Cannonball Chronicles. Ramon Silva says that we have to come to Argentina to make an exhibition. That'd be a great idea. How do we get the Cannonball to Argentina? That'd be a hell of a ride. It'd be like a motorcycle triathlon. Part boat, part motorcycle. Leave it up to Jason, he'll figure it out. Jimmy Bradley in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Robert Ziola, Foxborough. Let's go, we're almost there. 51 seconds. Okay, counting down to the 10-second mark. It's time to get this one out of the shed and up onto the road. And let's go live with this week's Motorcycle Cannonball Chronicles. Here we go.
Hey there, Cannonball Nation. What is going on? We are back for another episode of the Cannonball Chronicles. That's right. You know what day it is. It is Wednesday Hump Day. Cannonball Chronicles live right here on Facebook and YouTube across the channels. That's right. Hey, as you can see, I am back in the home base. If you were tuned in last week, you got to see some of my a little bit of debacles that I was in while I was on a road trip to the Texas Fandango. Let me tell you about the Texas Fandango. Man, was it a freaking good time. I mean, it was killer. I have to give it up to the guys at the AMCA chapter, Cherokee chapter.
Can I
They
get an
put on
amen?
amen. They put on one hell of a show. Swap meet, races, chopper drags, everything. It was one of the best events I've been to in such a long time. Really cool to see old bikes, choppers, scooters, mini bikes, everybody just kind of commingling and getting along. Just made for such a great event. Um, I begged them before I left to have another Texas Fandango this fall, but they said no. Boo. Anyway, it was good. I had a good time. It was great to see a lot of you guys out there. For you guys that stopped by the booth and said, "Hey, I love your show," we appreciate it. We love bringing you this show. Um, so yeah, let's move on. I got my buddy, my pal, my co-host, Mr. Rob Nussbaum. What's happening? What's going on?
Rob's audio's off.
Hey, Rob, your audio, man.
I'm back.
Hey,
I'm
there
back.
you go.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
So I thought I heard something about Oli.
I am getting ready to go to Pennsylvania next week for the Ole Antique Motorcycle Club of America meet.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that should be that. I'm sure people are really ready for this one. So, Ole's it's always a good time, you know.
Yeah, generally, it's one of the best shows there is, you know. And
Yeah,
not having it last year, I think it's going to bring some good stuff out of the woodwork out there.
I wish Chris Cowan could come out and do that one. I'm wondering if we could talk him into coming out.
It wouldn't
Dude,
be
that's
too
like
hard.
10 seconds from his house.
Well, it's not that close, but it's close enough. Chris, what do you think? You there?
I don't know. I might make it. I might make Ole.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. So I'm going out next Thursday, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. Oh man, I can't believe it's a week from tomorrow already. So I still haven't picked out what I'm going to bring, so I have to run around here and figure it out. Stuff. I'll bring stuff.
Bring good stuff.
Well, one man's good is another man's trash.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So, hey, like I was saying, that Fandango was crazy.
It was fandangulous.
It was. It really was. Just kind of unique to see a show like that intermixed, you know, the old bikes along with the choppers, which are, you know, generally old bikes too, but just a little bit different culture. You know, it was fun.
What did you score at the Fandango? You must have gotten something.
Yeah. You know, I ended up letting one go and ended up picking one up in return. So some guy wanted to make a deal with me on my U model that I was planning on riding on the chase that did the last chase in. And so anyway, that went to a new home in Texas. And I luckily found one to replace it. So I ended up picking up a 1945 U model.
Nice.
Military. So yeah, I'm excited. It took it on its little inaugural run yesterday. Had a good time, and we're gonna give that thing a little love and give it a good home here for a while.
So if anybody wants to see it, I think you had it on your Facebook page today, did you not?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram.
Cool. Hey, I want to say hi to Monica real quick. Monica said to say hello. And we got a lot of great folks out there tonight, man. This is cool.
We do. We actually got some pretty exciting stuff going on. A pretty cool little thing that we'll get into here in a few minutes involving the cross country chase. Before we get to that, I just want to give a shout out to my friends up at Twisted Oz Museum. They will be having a vintage ride on Friday and a swap meet on Saturday. If you're in the Wichita area, make sure you make it over to the Twisted Oz Museum for their annual event. Should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, that should be great. We generally want to tell the people who are watching to do what? It's something you're going to trademark.
So, yeah, I want to remind everybody that if you're out there watching, make sure you first hit the like button and then mash the share button and share what you're watching with all the rest of the people. Make sure you also get included with all the participation with, commenting. We'll try to get to your comments. We love to see what you guys are saying, what we're doing, seeing where you're from. Add any comments that you like. We like them all.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Greg Allen. Hello, Greg. How are you? Matt Miller. Steve Broyles, as always. My new best friend who I've never met. So.
I see. Old Dicer's watching.
Uh-oh.
We got to bring him on next week. He's got some exciting stuff going on.
We better behave ourselves if we're going to bring Cole on. Just remember that.
He's been teasing me some pictures all day.
Oh, really? Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So what do you got lined up for us tonight? You want to get into this or what?
Yeah. Let's get this show on the road.
All right, bud.
And get going. So the first thing that we want to get into here is something really cool and unique that popped up online, I don't know, a week and a half ago, and kind of went viral. So our guest, Alex Trepanier, put out on a social media world that he had this 1945 Indian that he was going to basically let somebody use if they wanted to. And from there, kind of what happened kind of went viral. And let's talk to them guys and talk about it and why they were doing it. And the cool thing is that when we get done talking to them, they're going to select a winner of who's going to ride this machine. So pretty exciting. So it'll be great. So I want to bring on our first guest, the guy that donated the bike, Alex.
How's it going, everyone?
Good. What's happening?
Not a whole lot. Here's the bike that the lucky winner is going to be riding on the chase. And I'm proud to be part of it. I'm proud that some lucky younger person got selected to have this opportunity and just get out there and ride and do what we all love to do.
Heck yeah. So let's get into it a little bit of why did you decide to let somebody ride this beautiful Indian?
You know what, Jason, to be honest, in 2010, the first Cannonball that I ever heard about or was part of ended here in Santa Monica, which is about 30 miles from my house here in LA. And I remember going down there with my dad to watch the guys come in on the Santa Monica Pier. And I was like, man, that's amazing. Like that's so cool that they just rode across the country. I mean, that would just be something really fun to do. But the fact of the matter is, at that time I was 21, and when I thought about actually making it happen, it just wasn't in the cards. The bike that I did have at the time wasn't, it wasn't capable to go across the country. It was more something I would put around the neighborhood. B, I didn't have the money. C, I had just gotten married. I had a 6-month-old son at home. It didn't seem logical. And it wasn't until, I was 20. I celebrated my 29th birthday on the 2016 Cannonball, which was my first Cannonball. So it took all that time to get to the point where I could financially afford it and prepare a bike to go on the actual Cannonball. So I thought it would be really cool to help somebody along go ahead and present them a bike that was already prepared, that they wouldn't have to spend all the money on to get it to go, and just try and open up an opportunity for someone who is maybe looking at the Cannonball like I was when I was 21 and trying to figure out how to make it all happen.
Heck yeah. So that gave you the notion to take this beautiful 1945 and really offer it to somebody. From there, it kind of really went viral,
Yeah.
Let's talk about how that went a little bit.
Well, so I put it on, and my original thought, to be honest, was maybe there's some younger person out there that, would love to go, and maybe they have a little bit of money aside and they can't afford a bike, but if they had a bike that they would be able to do it. And then Chris Tribby, being the amazing dude that he is, kind of like my hero, because we both rode single cylinders, and the 2018, the Cannonball that I couldn't go on, I'm like sitting there rooting for Chris because he like totally reminds me of myself. Chris jumps on there and says, "Hey, I want to pitch in $100 to help make this deal happen," which brought up this whole other point to me that, yeah, some guy might be able to do it, but he might not have all the money to do it. So then it was a spiral effect from that point, and it was like another $100, another $100. I'll donate this, I'll do that. Jason was kind enough to do the hotel rooms at the start and finish that weren't covered as part of the entry fee. So basically everybody kind of started pitching in, and the whole thing just came together in a much better way than I ever anticipated it. I thought, it was going to be a simple thing. Hey, some guy would reach out to me. Can I borrow your bike? I'd really like to do it. And now it turned into this, awesome, this whole thing that just was awesome, where we got sent in all these bios. And mind you, the voters that are watching right now, they can vouch for it. Chris can vouch for it. I can vouch for it. It was not an easy decision. I started going down the list of bios after we compiled them all, and it was like, wow, that was a really good bio. And then you start reading the second one. Oh my God, that one was really good. It's not like we got a bad bio. I would say almost every single bio we got was like, wow, this guy really wants to go. This guy really deserves it. Man, I feel sorry for them. Or I understand their circumstance, or, whatever their story may have been. But it was definitely not an easy decision. And I think we opened up a door to something that's going to carry on down the road. Obviously, with the support of the Cannonball, I'd love to see, both on the Cannonball and the Chase, one, possibly two riders every year where, people like myself and Chris and other people are willing to donate a bike or funds so that we can keep the younger generation coming in and keep new faces going. Because the fact of the matter is, the year that I rode the Cannonball, there was people up to 70 years old. And we all know that eventually we're all going to get to an age where we physically, mentally, emotionally can't maybe get out there and ride the motorcycle like we want to. So at that point, we can, help this next generation get involved so that our hobby keeps growing and the interest keeps growing and everybody's enjoying this, and whether you're sitting at home, because you can't do it anymore, or you're a young person wanting to get involved, at the end of the day, everyone ends up being happy because there's people out there riding motorcycles and having a good time.
Right. Hey, we also got Chris Tribby with us tonight, the guy that kind of really set into motion maybe the fundraising on that. I want to bring Chris in just for a minute and get his take of why he donated that first $100 and what he thought would happen on this. Hey,
right.
Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. So let's talk for a minute. Like I said, that, when Alex posted this, you were the first person to step up to say, hey, I want to help make somebody's dream true also. So I'll donate the first $100. Did you really think that it would culminate into what it did?
No, I didn't. And when Alex posted that, I thought, my God, that is a phenomenal offer. How many of us would say, "Here's my bike to use," to anybody? Just use it. So when he did that, I thought, okay, so what can I do? Because I believe in what Alex is doing. And the minimum I could do was say, okay, let me chip in $100. And I challenged, I said, here's the first $100. Any other takers? And within an hour, I had like 3 or 4 phone calls and said, what's going on? And before you know it, we had a whole bunch of people kicking in money and saying, good for you, good for you. So I think we were onto something.
Heck yeah. So I know you started taking all of the, I would say applications for the riders that had gone on that. Give me your take a little bit of what you see come out of the list of the people of the people that actually applied, because we had them up all ages. It was anywhere from, I think the youngest was 18 all the way up to 67 years old.
Yeah, exactly. We had a total of 19 participants submit a bio. Alex asked, and people ask me too, so how do I apply for this? Send me or Alex your bio, and we will compile it into a Word document. And what Alex and I thought would be fair was everybody that contributed money to support this effort would be part of the judging committee. So we ended up with a total of 19 participants submitting a bio. We had a total of 26 people that donated money, which led to ultimately 22 people voting on this decision. Some people donated money and said, I don't want to be part of the voting. So 22 people voted. If I would, like Alex said, if I had a vote by myself, I don't know if I could have done it. There were so many cool stories, so many people I wanted to say, you got it. A few people I knew personally. So it was an extremely difficult situation for me. I'm glad we had 22 people to vote. So it was truly a group decision on who was the ultimate winner.
Heck yeah. I got to read all the bios, myself, went through them. Every single one of them was good. Like you said, you could almost want to give it to everybody. I'm going to go back to Alex again real quick. And Alex, tell me about this 1945 Indian.
So a good buddy of mine, Kiwi Mike, over at Kiwi Indian in Riverside, California, kind of got involved with me after I ran the Cannonball on my Indian. And I've always been a diehard Indian guy. So I'm sitting there at the shop with Mike one day, and I said, Mike, of all your Indians, what is your ultimate bike? And he goes, well, not the most expensive one. I said, no, what's your favorite bike? He said, to be honest with you, my 1945 Coast Guard bike that you probably saw out at the Texas Fandango, he said, that is my favorite bike. He said, if I had to pick an Indian that was the most reliable and probably one of the better looking bikes of all of them, he says, I'd pick that bike. So I went on a hunt. I had a little bit extra money at the time. I said, you know what? I'm going to find a 1945 Indian Chief. So long story short, I buy a Chief from a guy. It ends up not being as good as I thought it was going to be. Ended up needing a lot of work. So we took the transmission apart, which led to taking the engine apart, which led to X, Y, and Z. Long story short, we completely rebuilt the trans, new gears, new bearings, new bushings. We took the engine completely apart, brand new bottom end, all new bearings, new pistons, sleeved the cylinders, welded a crack in one of the exhaust in one of the, I'm sorry, in one of the exhaust valve had a crack in the exhaust. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Anyhow, we welded a crack in the cylinder. Then I really started riding it, putting some miles on it, rode it from here to Death Valley, rode it to Nevada, rode it to Arizona, rode it up and down the California coast. Then I decided I wanted to go, one step further. So I found 18-inch wheels. I took the 16s off. I put the 18s. It's got super ground clearance now. It's just a really good, nice, smooth running bike. So I was thinking, man, it's kind of a shame that it's sitting here, which was part of the decision of letting it go on the chase. And I knew that I was doing the Cannonball on my 29 Indian this summer. So I said, well, I can't do the chase too. I don't have enough time. So part of that was the decision. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make this whole thing happen. So the good thing about this bike is whoever ends up riding it, who's going to be announced shortly, they're probably not going to run into any major issues with it, which will be nice. I can't guarantee that little things may fail, little electrical problems and all those little gremlins that everybody on the chase or the Cannonball faces. But the majority of the bike is good and solid. And, Kiwi Mike and other people that have helped me work on it, I think we've done a good job, and I think it's going to be successful.
I think you said that Kiwi actually stepped up too to help out on this program and is
he
donating
did.
some spare parts.
Yes, sir. So I actually had a conversation with Kiwi right after we posted this, and he said, you know what, I want to get involved somehow. And I said, honestly, Mike, I think the coolest thing that you could do is help us put together like a trouble kit, because Kiwi Mike and like Doug Wathke, these guys have ridden Chiefs around the world and all over. So they actually have the knowledge that I don't. They know on these long trips what the typical kind of stuff that fails on these bikes are. And see, I haven't put that insane amount of miles on it to figure all that out. So Mike was nice enough to say, hey, let's put together like a care package, of all the little things that there may be issues with, so that, again, the whole deal is to prepare this young rider, not only with the bike, but kind of a whole care package of stuff that goes along, so that they don't have to worry about that stuff. Because if you think about it too, you want your first experience on the Cannonball or the Chase to be a positive one. You don't really want to be that guy who's, breaking down all the time because he didn't get a lot of miles on the bike. He wasn't totally prepared, and at least when I was on the Cannonball in 2016, I saw guys that were like really, really prepared and had all their stuff together. And then we saw people that literally finished assembling their bike the day before Cannonball, and of course ran into all those break-in issues that anybody would have had. So the deal with this is that this is a tried and tuned bike that has, probably 3,500 miles on it since we rebuilt the motor and trans, and we got this care package coming, and, we're at least the person that's riding it is going to be off to a good start.
Well, people are waiting with bated breath. So I think with no further fanfare here, or some fanfare, whatever, Chris, play some kind of sound effect, because we're going to go to Chris Tribby, and I think he's going to give us an announcement. So Chris Tribby, it's up to you now. People have been waiting with bated breath here.
All right, we need a drum roll, Chris. We got a sound effect there somewhere. Well, first of all, let me just say the 19 participants and the 22 people that voted, I can't thank you enough for doing what you did. It was an extremely difficult situation. I'm glad I didn't have to make the decision myself, because the 22 people that voted clearly selected a top winner. And the top winner is Jake Smallwood of the Chicago area. So congratulations, Jake. Now, Jake
How
is,
cool
Jake
is
is
that?
quite a man. He really was born and raised in a motorcycle family. His mom and dad had been motorcyclists from his birth. He was born and raised in this environment. He's currently riding a 56 bobber that he built himself, which is awesome. He's an AMCA member. He's also a local Wisconsin Badger Heritage member, Wisconsin chapter of AMCA. I know Jake personally, and I'm glad that everybody else voted for him and it wasn't just my decision. So congratulations, Jake.
Heck yeah. I actually see that Jake is actually watching with us tonight, and he's been commenting it here in the comments. It looks like he's pretty ecstatic about it, which
Well,
I
I
don't
know
know.
he's
Who
21
wouldn't
years
be.
old. He's 21 years old. So
Oh, fantastic. That's fantastic.
Heck yeah.
We love that.
This
No,
is
that's
great.
one of the cool comments that Jake made in his bio that he submitted was he was introduced to quote unquote modern bikes. All he knew was hand shift, foot clutch. That's how he was raised. So when he got introduced to a foot shift hand clutch, to him, that was foreign. And that's just so cool.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
So I understand there's something else going on tonight. Maybe if we'll bring Alex back in, I think there's another announcement you guys want to make.
Well,
Yes, sir.
Let me just say that the amount of people that stepped up to the plate and said, here's some financial support. It was impressive.
That's a great thing.
It was impressive. The number of people that said, how can I help?
Terrific.
So we did pretty good financially to cover Jake. Entry fee. Jason contributed for the hotels. We got a couple bucks left over for spending money for Jake.
Excellent. Hey, let's go back to Alex for a second. Jason, why don't you take the lead here and ask Alex
okay.
what he's got
So
shaking?
these guys actually just before the show brought this up to me that they wanted to make another special announcement tonight. So I'm going to just hand it over to Alex and let him make this announcement.
Sure. So, like Tribby said, we were overwhelmed with support, both financially and Jason with hotel rooms and other people just being supportive. And there was so many good bios. Chris and I had a conversation. I said, you know what, Chris, let's take it one step further. I said, let's do a second writer. So Chris and I both agreed on it, and so we picked another writer. And it's a little bit up in the air right now because we don't have technically a motorcycle for them to ride at this very moment. But I also have a 41 Chief that if somebody else doesn't step up for this second rider, I'd be happy to let them use my 41 Chief to make sure that they have a bike and that they can do it. But you know, it's just really cool that we had all these people and it was hard to pick just one person. So I'm going to go ahead and make the announcement. There was a second rider, and again, all the voting was done by the donors, Jason, myself, and Tribby included. So the second highest number of votes that we had ended up being a gentleman down in San Diego, California, Connor Levinson. So he's been chosen as our second rider. And if somebody else doesn't step up to lend him a bike, what'll happen is he'll end up riding a 1941 Chief that I have and be a participant that way. So the only issue with this now, to be honest, is we have just enough money to cover the entry fees for both riders. So if I hate to be this guy, and I'm not putting anyone on the spot, but if anybody does want to kick in a little bit extra money, if you haven't donated, it would be really nice. I know that these guys are going to go through some oil. They're going to need some gas money. They're going to need little things along the way. And if we can get another, couple bucks for these guys to make it to where they don't have a whole lot of expense out of their pocket, that'd be really cool. Another thing that we're going to kind of run into, but again, I'll step up if I have to. If we don't have the funds donated, we're going to have to ship this bike back to Jake Smallwood. I want to do that probably within the next month or so, because my goal is to have Jake and Connor be on bikes that they can get familiar with, learn all the ins and outs, and just be really comfortable when they start the chase. I don't want it to be a last minute deal where they're trying to figure it out. And,
Alex,
yes, sir.
We've got Tom Banks in with $250 and Tim Burns with 100. It's like a telethon. We'll keep you posted throughout the night.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Tom Banks. Thank you, Tim Burns. I appreciate you guys. And you know what? I'm donating the motorcycle, but in all reality, this whole deal was not possible without the monetary donations. I mean, they're without you guys donating and helping pay the entry fees and all the expenses that go along with it. It's just not possible. So all right.
So let me interrupt you again, and then we're going to have to get out of this segment. We could talk all night, but where can people send the money? We just got another $100 in. So
it's going to go
to
Chris
Don Gilmore. So
it's going to go to Chris Tribby. If you want to switch over to Tribby, he'll give you his PayPal information. He's handling the monetary stuff.
He put it up on the screen already, but I can't thank you guys enough. Oh, there's Chris. Go ahead, Chris. Give us a quickie here.
Yeah, so I just posted in the comments there. Very simple. ctribby@mac.com, PayPal, friends and family. I have an extensive spreadsheet going that we're documenting every donation. So thank you so much.
Heck yeah. My phone is blowing up. I've actually gotten a few text messages with some pledges, so I'll get those to you guys. So the challenge is on, guys.
They're coming in fast and furious. I can't even keep up with it. Seriously, I just see 200, 100. Keith Kronoff is the 200. Mike Jensen, 100. So thanks, guys. Man, this is unbelievable.
You need a bike.
Yes.
Hey,
And then I just want to add as well, you can switch to Alex. I just want to add as well, if there's any extra stuff that's left over from these two riders, again, as I mentioned earlier in the show, the goal is to keep this thing going, not just for this chase, not just for the future chase, but to try and keep it going. So if there's any extra expenses, know, guys, that money will roll over to a rider for the next chase or a rider that's chosen for the next Cannonball. Know that, we will take care of it, and we'll do our work on this end to make sure that we keep this going.
So it's going to be an endowment. It's going to be an endowment. So Motorcycle Safety Lawyers just donated $500. Gina Woods tells us that.
Very good.
Jason, I think you and I need to set up a fund for ourselves here. This is great.
All right. Hey, this is great, guys. So the challenge is out to you guys. If you want to donate to these guys, you can see it in the link. Also, the challenge is out there. We need motorcycles. So if you got a motorcycle out there that one of these kids can use or future events, get a hold of Alex, get a hold of Chris, and get with those guys. Maybe we can pick a third or a fourth winner. Who knows?
Just real quick. We announced some people, and I don't want to leave them out. So these are the last two we're going to announce. Keep an eye on the chat box. But Carrie Patchett, $100 plus route map box and odometer, speedometer, and Cindy Weems for $100. Thanks, Cindy. She's a faithful listener and watcher of Cannonball Chronicles. So thanks a lot. We really appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Heck yeah.
So what do you think, Jason? Let's take a break. Go to commercial. This is something to drink.
This is great.
This is really great. So, hey, if anybody wants to donate a bike for a rider too, I think they could use one. So let's take a break. We're going to support our sponsors who are supporting us, and then we'll come back to the Retro Cycle Studios and continue this with our guest tonight.
Excellent. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
My name is Patrick Maloney. Most all my friends call me Mo. You know, I liked motorcycles and hot rods long before I could drive. I remember looking out the window of the family car when I was a kid, and my mom would see me eyeballing that guy on a Harley and just knowing it was just burning her up. I never had a street bike until I joined the Navy. The Navy was cool. We always had a group of guys. All the guys on the ship that rode Harleys always hung out together. I remember getting off the ship with snow on the ground in Virginia, and the first place I went was right up to that knucklehead and fire it up. Never gave it another thought. You know, a lot of times I didn't have a car. That's how I got into biking. 6 months later, I bought another one. Probably another 6 months later, I bought a knucklehead rolling chassis with a pair of chrome Invader wheels on it and a Jocklid 4-speed transmission, candy red over gold. Right in the middle of a trailer park, I found a knucklehead motor. Bought that motor for $350 in 1982. This isn't just my garage, this is my living room. My name's Patrick Maloney, and I'm a Dennis Kirk garage builder.
Everything we do at the track shapes what we build for the street and the dirt.
You can see how bad these guys want it. The race to the line.
For us, racing is not for the trophies or the glory. We compete because it makes everything we do faster, more durable, and tested to a higher standard. For S&S, racing is the ultimate in proven performance, and we've been proving it since 1958.
Wow, Dennis Kirk, those commercials are awesome. And S&S stepping up to the plate, fantastic. All great products, wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. And I want to thank all our social media people, Chopper Town, Source Media, everybody for making these shows possible for us. But I'm really excited to bring in tonight's guest. He's a longtime friend of mine. We've become very close over the past couple years. He makes a terrific product, and I can't thank him enough for coming in with us. This is one of our first international guests coming to us from Australia. So we're not going to meet one of the racers tonight, but we're going to meet one of the people who makes, who's actually made it so these Harley JDs can go cross country, and made it so that we can put these machines on the road and prove that they can do this. So with that, we'll roll our usual credit, I think,
Rob,
and bring in on tonight's guest.
hang on. I hate to bust in on you, but Tribby actually got back in touch with us. He has something huge that's just happened, and he wonders if we can bring it back to him for a second.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry about that. Tribby.
Chris, you're on.
All right, thank you. I just talked to Alex. We've had some phenomenal support financially just come in for the show. So what I want to announce is I will be donating my 1947 45
Wow.
for a rider. for Colin to ride. This is the bike that I rode from Sault Ste. Marie to Key West and the last chase. Made it trouble-free. I will be donating this bike to the second place rider. However,
Heck yeah.
because of the financial support we just received, we will be supporting a third rider.
Holy. Are you
Wow.
freaking kidding?
So we have an announcement for number 3. And the third place rider, congratulations, is Jeffrey Lynch.
Oh, heck
Jeffrey
yeah.
Lynch, welcome to the chase.
That's
Jeffrey's going to be
amazing.
riding a bike that we don't know where it's going to come from yet, but we are hoping with the audience listening, somebody like myself and Alex will step up to the plate and say, here's a bike that Jeff can use. So congratulations, Jeff.
So,
Heck yeah.
so folks, keep those cards and letters coming in and those donations flowing.
Thank you. And I want to thank Jason. Thank you, Jason, for supporting this effort. This is incredible. I think we had a really cool thing going here.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So, wow. That's crazy.
All right. Well, we're going to continue to take donations all night long here. We're going to be manning the phones till 4 a.m.
Hey, is it actually? It's probably 4 a.m. where our guest is from, isn't it?
No, it's a little later than that, but let's bring him in. Chris Tribby, why don't you just hang in with us and we'll come back to you at the end of the show, maybe. All right.
You bet.
All right. Good
Hey,
eye.
Stuart.
Hi.
Good eye, Knackers.
G'day, Knackers. G'day, Knackers.
Good eye. How's my
How are
buddy?
you guys?
How's it going?
Yes, very well, thank you, young man.
Good on you.
G'day.
Hey, sorry to keep you so long. I mean, that was incredible. Did you watch just what kind of went down?
I'm a little bit emotional, and I find that unbelievably fantastic. I think that's incredible, and a great group of people, and I'm very honoured to be on the show, and a distant part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just testament to the antique motorcycle world. And really, I mean, honestly, you kind of play into it too. I mean, with what you do with your company, you are very instrumental of keeping some of these old bikes alive. Let's talk a little bit about what your company is. You know, we haven't even said who you're with or anything like that.
So I'm just JD Jugs. I make cylinders for 1915 to 1929 Harley Davidsons, the F and J and the FD and JD, and I make the tapered fin Ricardo racing cylinders, and I'm just finishing off after a disastrous year last year of the straight fin Ricardo racing cylinders. But I'm also working on, as we speak, the flat track WR and WLDR cylinders and heads. So they'll be available this year.
So what are we
as
looking
well.
at right there, Stuart? What are you holding up there?
This is the intake port and exhaust port off WLDR that I've extensively modified to make it flow a lot better. I've been listening to some very smart people that have been racing flatheads for a very long time. Flat Track Marty and Flat Track Johnny Swartwood, as I call them. They've given me lots of advice and things of that nature to make these flathead cylinders be far superior than the original ones.
Well, you actually had to go back to the drawing board after you had hooked up with Marty and John, right?
Yeah. So basically, my pattern maker, who is just phenomenally intelligent, he did this. This is the WR one-piece internal core. So it's a core for the bore and the exhaust port and the intake port, but it had been bored out over the years, as you can see here, and the air was travelling in and going straight in there and going straight past the valve. So what I had to do was modify that so it flowed a lot better and went around a gentle graduating bend. I actually cheated a little bit, and I got I think this is an aftermarket.
That the new top end for the JDs?
Yeah. So this is an aftermarket twin cam head, and it actually has a modern intake port there with the D. I don't know whether you can see it at the bottom of the port there. But so I replicated that and made it flow a lot better. So they should be cracking. So we're going to sell the heads and which are matched to the actual cylinder. So the top combustion chamber of the flathead and the bottom combustion of the flathead, as I call them, match up perfectly. And yeah, should be a good thing.
So tell us about your patterns and your pattern maker. What are your patterns made out of?
Wood. So these are wooden
Stuart, this is a
resin.
family show. Put that thing down.
I know, it looks a bit like plastic. I'll put that down. So basically, he makes everything out of wood and a bit of barn dough, maybe, and some resin. Allows for shrinkage. The most important thing is that it must pull out of the pattern and be able to cast up. We do everything in sand casting. So we go very old school in the patterns and very old school in the casting. But then in the machining, it's a bit more modern. So there's CNCs involved and all those sorts of things.
So how'd you get started with doing this stuff?
That's a very interesting story, young Rob. I used to do security and fight professionally, and then I retired last century and started teaching kids. So I couldn't hang around on a Honda Fireblade anymore, and really love J models. So I was obsessed with JDs and J models, so I always wanted to buy one. And then, unfortunately, my mother passed away, and she left me a little bit of money, and I bought my first basket case, J model, which is Little Red, which is this bike here, as you can see, and with my beautiful wife, Rebecca, there in a period flapper dress. But I bought that bike and started restoring it, and then of course I was obsessed, and I got a couple more frames and gearboxes and engine cases, and then I only had one set of cylinders. I went to put the exhaust valve guide in my set of cylinders, and the whole exhaust port broke off. So I conferred with a couple of friends of mine, and they were in the same problem as me, so we decided to make them. So we went off and saw a pattern maker, and he made some patterns, and technically they were quite good, but aesthetically they were not. So we had to go and find another pattern maker, and then another pattern maker, and another pattern maker. But we finally came up with the solution for that. And then we had to find someone crazy enough to cast them up. So we have Beckwith Macbro in Coburg in Melbourne, and Chris and Terry Beckwith. They run the foundry there with Rob, the manager, and just absolutely fantastic work. So it's all bespoke work and small job lots. So unfortunately, we get pushed to the bottom of the queue sometimes in that regard, which is annoying. But I mean, you just can't argue with the quality and the way they cast it up. Our first patterns were 14 core boxes to make out of sand, little molds to make the cylinder. So we had cores for the intake port and the cage and the exhaust port, and then the pre-combustion chamber, which I call it, and then the combustion chamber and the actual bore itself. But our new pattern maker, Paul Friswell at Friswell Patents in Bendigo, he's only a young bloke like myself, but he's just a marvel. It's unbelievable. So he was able to create a core that's one-piece internal core. So on our Ricardo cylinders and on tapered fin and straight fin Ricardo cylinders, there's one-piece core. And I won't lift this up because it'll scare people, but on our WLDR and WR cylinders, it's also a one-piece internal core. So it's just pretty amazing.
Now, how close do you think these patterns are to original 1915 to 1929? Are you kind of doing it the same way the factory did back in the day?
The patterns or the casting?
Maybe both. I mean, tell us a little bit about it. I mean, how close are you to doing it?
That's a really good question, Jason, because basically, if we look at the cylinder, on an original cylinder, there's core lines, casting marks. So I don't know, I was a bit crazy, and I just decided to make sure that it had all the same casting marks and casting core lines as per original. So when you cast something lost wax, it can lose all that and look like a milk bottle top sort of finish. So we really needed that sand cast finish and all the joint lines as well. So yeah, and then they're poured in.
Stuart, let me interrupt a second. So just give us a brief synopsis between lost wax and sand casting.
Okay, so lost wax would let's say, for example, I wanted to cast this up. I would make a pattern, and then the pattern would be filled with wax, and then the wax would be sprayed with a light ceramic slurry, and then a thicker ceramic slurry until it builds up, and then they heat it up and the wax comes out, and then the metal goes in. With sand casting and patterns, this actually gets made in sand, and then that gets put in the actual pattern box, and then the pattern boxes are made in sand, and so the whole thing in negative needs to be made in sand, and then the metal is poured into that. So then when we have metal going in, we have gassing, degassing, all these sorts of things. The problems with having horizontal fins, vertical fins, ports going everywhere makes this an exceedingly difficult thing to cast. So again, the people at the foundry, Macbro Beckwith, Beckwith Iron and Steel, I think they're called now, just stellar work, yeah.
Well, let's take a look at some of the pictures that you submitted, and maybe you can talk us through this. we're going to start rolling some pictures, and you let us know what we're looking at.
So that's my main bike, my test bed that's tested all the 61 cylinders, the 74 cylinders. It was the bike that I inherited from the money that my mother left with me. I bought and restored that. That's my wife, Rebecca, who's the brains of the whole operation and supported me for quite a number of years. She saved my life from my former life, and I wouldn't be here without her, like literally. So.
Right. So you talked earlier that you were a JD guy, and this picture just kind of reminded me of a question that I wanted to ask. That I want to know what your favorite model is between the 1915 and the 1929.
So my favorite model would be the European Road Racer, which is behind me. That's a picture out the front of the Harley factory. They took of both sides of the bike, but they were raced in Europe up until like the mid 30s. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's one that you don't see very often.
No. My favorite bike of mine is obviously Little Red. So what I'm going to do in its final incantation, or however you would say it, is I'm going to put the original roadside on one of my timing sides that I make, and I'm actually going to run 2 front Ricardo cylinders. So I'm going to run two front Ricardo cylinders, and then with 2 MR3s, and then the exhaust is going to flow through here in between the tapered fins. Hello. And then this one's going to wrap around, the front one is going to wrap around as well and go up the side of the bike. So I think Little Red will be very funky, 80 cubic inch. Hot cams, hot cylinders, hot everything.
Tell us about the lower end on that engine that you just showed us.
That one?
C.
Si, senor. That one's a 1929 FDH, so a JDH with a magneto. But I'll be putting one of these timing sides on a road going J. So the engine number will be 29.
Where did you get that?
I made it.
So yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to lead you into. Tell us about it. Come on, stay with me, Stuart.
Oh, Rob, come on, man. Yes, I have complete engines now, FH racing engines. So you can either get a wide case 25 to 29 type, or you can get a narrow case like a board tracker for the early gearbox. So I make those, and you can have straight fin Ricardos on them, or taper fin Ricardos, or 29 JD cylinders on it, or you can have the dual carby set up, same as that chopper in the other photo that you just showed, if you wanted to put that photo back up. So dual carbies, so all sorts of combinations. That bike won a biker build-off competition in Germany. The people who own it, Maxan's bike shop in Switzerland, I sent them the engine, and they had to build the whole chopper in the 2.5 days that the motorcycle show was on, and then they had to start it on the stage in front of everybody.
So I think you gave us some video of that, and if I can encourage Chris Callan to rack that up, maybe we can take a look at the video of that bike that you're telling us about.
So me being me, me being me, sent it at the last minute because it was finished at the last minute, and they didn't get to test the engine. So its first start literally was the first start on the stage in front of all those people. And if it didn't start, they lost, but they won.
All right, so
because it started.
let's take a look at the clip you supplied us, Stuart.
So this is Mac from McSands Motorcycle Company in Switzerland.
That's insane.
Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Hey, maybe we got to do a cannonball like that. Like you got to assemble your cannonball bike in the parking lot and then have it start.
Can I get a
Oh wait, we already do that.
Amen.
That's
We already
true.
got guys that do that.
Yeah. I've seen the pictures, the floodlights, the torches, the 3 a.m. and then you torture them. You make them have dinner and answer questions and have trivia, and then they've got to go out and fix their motorbikes.
Heck yeah. Hey, let's roll another picture here real quick. So what are we looking here?
That's me back in the day with purple hair, and I just finished sparring with Iran the Blade Barkley, 4-time world champion. He fought Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, Roberto Duran. He was the man.
Heck yeah. What year was this?
Late 90s. Late 90s, yeah. So,
And do you still practice boxing?
no, so I used to fight boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai. And I first started training Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai in like 1983, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wasn't around then. And then when I retired, I started teaching at police and citizens youth clubs, pretty much like a police boys club, teaching kids to get off the street and off drugs and things like that. So I did that for about 19 years. And so I train in Krav Maga now. So I do that Israeli military self-defense stuff. So, but I still teach people boxing, kickboxing, self-defense, because I teach security and security risk management and counter-terrorism stuff and all that sort of stuff as my main job, first aid.
That's pretty crazy. And you're doing that as a day-to-day right now and then doing JD Jugs on the side.
Yeah, it's my hobby, man. It's all about.
I think everything in an antique world's a hobby. Even if you try to make it a job,
is a hobby, yeah, and that's the way it should be. And
Right.
and then you get fantastic stuff that like that was on before me. I mean, that's unreal.
it is.
Absolutely unreal.
All right. Let's go to Chris to have him load up the next picture.
Yeah, so there's some of our straight fin Ricardo cylinders, and they got started and they were supposed to be finished in the Christmas break of 2019. to 2020, and then we had a little thing called COVID happen, and all sorts of stuff happened, especially in Victoria and Melbourne and things of that nature. But they're being worked on as we speak. So I've got a couple of sets of straight fin Ricardo cylinders to go out to people. Now, the straight fin Ricardos came before the tapered fin Ricardos, and they were on all the board trackers, and then the tapered fin Ricardos seemed to be on the hill climbers and road races and things like that.
Right.
Tell us,
so for the people that don't know
right,
out there
exactly.
what Ricardo is, what does it mean when you're referring to Ricardo?
So Harry Ricardo developed basically the modern combustion chamber, and he did all sorts of fantastic work. He did a lot of tank engine work for World War One, and then in the 20s, he worked with Triumph to produce a better side valve combustion chamber, and then he worked with Harley Davidson to develop the Ricardo racing cylinder. So basically, anyone who's heard of squish in a combustion chamber, that is what was developed by Sir Harry. 1 second.
Yeah, I believe he also did Henderson cylinders too. So he was all over the map. I know some people who are always looking for Henderson Ricardo cylinder.
Yeah. So basically, this little piece over here creates a flat area for the piston to hit, and then what it does is creates that squish, adds to the compression in the combustion chamber, and makes the flame travel better and burns efficiently and makes a bigger bang and makes more power.
Stuart, hold it up again and hold it upside down as if it were a cylinder you're holding up, because we really couldn't see the angle. So turn it over, turn it upside down, and see if we can see that shelf. Go a little more, so that there you go. So see so the folks can see that shelf in there. So there's actually a shelf that reduces the height of the cylinder, the top of the cylinder, and gives you more compression. Correct. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So, this continued on into this is a WR head. So the WR head had a similar squish area as we see across here. The KH, KR, all the flatheads had that.
So did Harry have a patent on this?
No, see, he was employed by. There's a lot of controversy over this, where he sued people after the Second World War about using all this technology. But I think basically, and again, my disclaimer on everything, I wasn't there in 1925, so I don't know.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm sure, man. I'm not as old as you. I'm only young.
Bang! Where's the bang, Chris?
Oh! So basically, yeah, he worked for Harley Davidson. Yeah, I'm not sure of the actual legalities of it or whatever, but yeah,
right.
He was employed by Harley Davidson to develop all their flathead technology.
Interesting. So you've continued in the great Australian tradition. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing. This is our running joke between you and I.
What am I doing?
You're forging.
Yeah, I'm a forger. Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes. Yes. So, but the patents don't exist for this anymore, and it's 7%. It's 10% different. on the inside.
So tell us why your cylinders are 10% different. Tell us why those, even though they look exactly like the originals, why they're better.
Oh, okay. So basically, if we look at this cutaway of an original cylinder, come back. And this is the exhaust valve here. Okay, the exhaust valve stem and the seat. And Harley Davidson necked in here. They necked away because they wanted to get the heat out. So when you start cutting your valve seat and cutting your valve seat again and again and again, it ends up hitting fresh air. So basically what we did was we thicknessed it in that area. We made the metal out of far superior grade of metal, and they're actually heavier. We made them 40 thou thicker on either side, so you can bore out the 61 cylinders to 3 7/16, no problem. You can bore out our 74 cylinders to 3.5 inch, no problem, with oversizes as well. So you can run 80 cube shovel pistons in there, no problem. Yeah, it's quite good.
Jason, you have anything you want to ask Stuart?
Yeah, let's talk about some of the cool things that you're working on. Do you want to bring up some of the stuff that is kind of out of the norm that I see you posting on and teasing us with?
Oh, so I've got the 1929 Crocker overhead things, overhead heads, and so I'm building up a short stroke. So it'll be 3.5 inch stroke and 3.5 inch bore, which gives me about 74
That's a
cubic
square
inches.
motor. That's a square motor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
So my favorite Chev is the 302 because it's 4-inch bore and 3-inch stroke, and it revs like anything. But so what I was going to do was I was going to put these Crocker heads. I've got a set of aluminium ones, and I've got some cast iron ones here as well. So the cast iron ones and the aluminium ones are all done from the same pattern. But you can see here, as per always, the intake port's terribly small and the exhaust port's terribly large. So I decided to flip them round. So I've got the intake ports here, and I'm going to run 2 carbies, and it'll be nice. And then I get to run a 1 3/4 sports the valve intake and an 1.5 sports the valve exhaust, and this should go like stink, really, I think. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
That's going to blow people's minds.
Yeah, and then I've got a set of VL cases here too, young man, 34 VFD, and I might put some of those heads on this as well.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, a bit
so
more
that-
for me though.
So you're making engine cases, a Crocker overhead type deal for the JDs, right? What else are you making, Stuart? It seems like you've got a whole bunch of things on the drawing board here.
Yeah, so I make so basically I make all the cylinders, the racing cylinders. I don't know how new did WR end up, so 50s. So I make all the racing cylinders from the 20s to the 50s, and I make all the cylinders from 1915 to 1929. I make the direct action twin cam engines that were from 1925. That's one of my engines in Italy. Went over to a customer. That's an 80 cubic inch tapered fin Ricardo racing engine, FH racing engine, just beautiful. So I can make complete engines, the frames, the racing frames, hill climber frames, board track frames.
Tell us about the frames. What do you got in the way of frames?
So I have my beautiful friend Hap Sherger, who lives up in Broken Hill, and he's doing all the frames. I helped him with organising all the patterns and the casting and the pattern maker and the foundry and everything like that. So that's good. That's another one of my bikes that picture that was just there, which is a Rudge 4-valve headed single cam Harley Racer. So that's an Australian 8-valve, mate. Australian 8-valve.
Wow.
So twin carby as well. So that should go all right. But that hasn't got any of my products on it. So it's been at the back of the pile. That's some of the magical work by Paul Friswell in this photo. The WR cylinders. So they're just artwork, mate.
He's still
Just
working
artwork.
on those patterns.
Yeah, I'm just finishing off the ports for it, and I'm going up there this weekend to Bendigo because I've got to drop off a set of 74 cylinders for my mate Cliff in Alice Springs. So they're going on a twin cam engine in Alice Springs. So that should be a pretty good project for him. So I'm going to go and see the pattern maker and put that to bed and get it all happening at the foundry. Foundry's ready.
We got some comments from a couple of our viewers. Keith Cardell says his JD jugs are the best investment he's made for his 23 JD. Great quality. Thanks, Stuart. And then Mike Draco says, need to get some of your motors to the Sons of Speed races, which I think is in process, is it not?
Yes, possibly.
Possibly. We can't let that cat out of the bag.
Hey, we
Stay
actually
tuned.
got a pretty good. We got another good question here from Dave Courier, fellow Cannonball guy. That he's asking about single cylinders.
Well, what happens is it's all about how many. Okay, I've been asked to make the blind bore early chief cylinders, and I've been asked to make Excelsior cylinders, and I put out there how many people want them, and if I get 10 people say that they want them, then those 10 people are going to pay $8,000 for each for a set, because I have to pay the pattern maker and the foundry and the machinist and the setup and the jigs and the programs and all that sort of stuff. So basically, it just comes down to it's a numbers thing. Yeah. So I'll make anything because I'm crazy, but I've just got to cover my costs. I don't care about being rich or anything. I just want these bikes back on the road. So, if you get a group of single cylinder people together that want some cylinders, then we can make it.
Let's talk about the you said you had cylinders spectroanalyzed, the original cylinders. So let's talk about the comparison there.
Yeah, so with the original stuff, I went to the foundry and they started calling me Crazy Stuart after that. Well, I actually went to 3 foundries before I found my foundry, and nobody wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And so I had the material analysed once I found Beckwith, but it was and I took it back to the foundry man, and he said, "This is terrible. This is terrible." So what he did was he came up with a grade of iron that will flow, because basically when you go up, the higher the grade, the less it will flow. And we've got vertical fins and horizontal fins and radiating from the center, vertical fins and all this sort of stuff. So it was really, really hard to come up with a material that was good, that would flow. So what we did was we spectroed it. It came back and it had a heap of sulfur in it. And we assumed that came from the coke furnaces that they would have used originally. And how to solve that problem was left to the foundry man with numbers of years of experience. And basically, I think S&S and everyone used what you would call a grade 30. Cast iron, ours is about a grade 35. So it's slightly superior to an S&S cylinder material, with some additives and little tips and tricks and special things to make it flow a lot better.
Supposed to ask you about the mixture of ethanol, how you deal with ethanol and your mixture of gasoline and things like that. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So basically what I've been doing is, with all the green movement, electric bikes, all these sorts of things, and people see, a vintage bike putting on down the road, and they think that it's very ungreen, So I've been running all my bikes on E85, so ethanol 85, which is an ethanol alcohol, not a methanol alcohol. And this is made from sugarcane, obviously. In your country, it's probably made from corn.
Right.
So, and then they add high octane gas to it, 15%, which makes it easier to start than methanol. And you can run it on it and be green as you like. So basically, you're on a non-carbon footprint vehicle.
I have one more question for you from our friend Chet Burks. He wants to know, do you have some younger folks that you can teach this craft to?
What, do I look old?
Wasn't my question.
No, what? So teach people? Yeah,
Well,
anyone that wants to learn how to build this stuff, and the tolerances or the clearances or the end floats or anything, send me a Facebook message or give me a call, send me a text message. More than willing to help. It's, if we wanted to start another show, we could talk about oil rings in JD's. Yeah.
Well, we'll save that for another episode. Oil rings. Jason, ask him your favorite question about the future.
All right. So, famous last question for all our guests. What can we expect out of Stuart Ritchie or JD Jugs in the next year?
WR cylinders and heads, WLDR cylinders and heads. Maybe some big port Excelsior cylinders, maybe, if people have you. But that's about it. Before we go, what I want to do is I want to mention the big cannonball, and I want to invite all you guys down in 2029 for the big cannonball. And the big cannonball is around Australia the hard way. And in 1929, two young men got a 1929 F model 61, and they rode it with a sidecar all the way around Australia. And they were the first people to travel around Australia by land, and that was in 1929, first people, and it took them forever and 5 months or whatever. It took them ages, and they had heaps of trouble, broke connecting rods, had to decoke their cylinders, had trouble with local populations, had to eat, had to shoot things to eat. So in 2029, I'll be 60 years old, my son will be 18, and I will be riding this 1929 F model
Nice.
around Australia. So you're all more than welcome to come. And I'm not sure, maybe someone could Google it, but I'm not sure how many miles it is. All I know is it's a lot.
It's a lot. Tell before we let you go, tell everybody how they can get in touch with JD Jugs.
So, thanks, Rob. So what happened was during COVID, I got sick and my website lapsed, and someone bought jdjugs.com, which I was before, and then tried to sell it back. Bastards. So I'm at jdjugs.info now is our website, and JD Jugs on Facebook Messenger, Instagram JD Jugs, +614 04 131 271.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Maybe we can get that up on screen at some point. Stuart, it's always a pleasure. Oh, I have to tell you that my wife said that it's our tea time buddy who always calls during tea time, dinner as we call it. And she said to say hello. She finally gets to get a look at your mug.
The beautiful Beth. She's the Beth, mate.
She's the Beth, the absolute Beth.
You know what we're all doing? We're doing this. Do you know what that is?
That's compression strokes.
No, it's punching above your weight. I've seen your Mrs. Jason. I've seen your Mrs. Rob. And
we've seen yours. We are.
We're all punching above our weight. So we should be in the punching above our weight.
We know Jason is definitely. So
it's the yellow glasses.
She's mesmerized.
Everyone runs out of petrol once in their life. Everyone runs out of petrol, man. No one should pick on you.
We're being told that jdjugs.info is not working. Is it live or is it not live?
Yeah, it should be live.
Oh shit! You forgot to pay your bill again.
Somebody steal that from you too?
It's got like 15-year subscription this time, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll give an update on that in an upcoming episode if it's not working tonight. All right.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Okay.
Ha! All right.
It works.
We're trying to joke you.
All right. So, Stuart, oops, I'm sliding out of frame. Stuart, thank you as always. Great to talk to you. And maybe we bring you back. Maybe not. But probably.
No. Of course you will.
Good. So what do we always say? Good eye.
Good eye.
Good eye.
And I think we have Chris Tribby standing by to give us an update. So let's go back
bring
to
Chris back and see if there's any update of what happened on the cross-country chase deal.
Well, we got a considerable amount of donations already for that third rider. So we're looking for a third bike. Alex gave a bike. I've given my bike here. We need one more person to donate a bike for the chase.
A charitable donor. Well,
Yeah.
any of you out there who have a bike that you are willing to donate to this effort, that would be great.
Hey, you know what would be cool is now that we've got one Harley versus Indian, we need that third, that Kurt, we can get this little rival thing going.
A Triumph, a Triumph or something like that.
I'm thinking of Zunda.
Zunda.
Ooh, BMW.
Well, I mean, okay, so Jason, tell everybody what the years are for qualification for the event.
So if you have a 1930 to a 1960 motorcycle, it has 2 wheels, it will qualify.
So that's a pretty big gap right there. I mean, that's 30 years, right? 30
Actually, you
years,
know what? I lied there for a second. You
64.
can actually have 3 wheels.
Aha. A Servi
So if you
car.
got a Servi car or a dispatch tow, it
We
will
have-
qualify also.
And you have a Servi car registered, don't you?
Who, me?
For the event.
Oh, we do. We do have one crazy dude out there that is going to tackle it on a Servi car.
So that'll be interesting.
Why
Think
not?
about it,
Let's get-
though. It could be the perfect vehicle if you think about it.
Right.
I know there's somebody out there listening that has a bike to donate.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep pumping this up on future shows, Chris, and we'll see if we can
Thank
get
you.
some more money in, and maybe if enough money comes in, we'll purchase a Triumph or something like that, and see how that goes. You never know.
You never
The money
know.
was pouring in. Well, we're way over tonight, guys.
Yeah,
So,
but what a great night.
a lot of
you know,
fun.
excellent. Yeah, it was kind of nice having somebody that wasn't necessarily motorcycle related. I mean, rider related, just kind of touching on the technical aspect part of it and, learning some of the behind the scenes of what these riders are purchasing and all that kind of stuff. So I know you are putting an order out there for JD Jugs and looking
Yes,
for
I am.
people to get on that order. So if you're interested after watching the show and want to get more information on the JD Jugs, get a hold of my good buddy over here, Mr. Rob,
No,
and
over.
he can help you out.
Hey, Jimmy Bradley says he's got a 47 BSA 500 or a BMW 250. Both a little under power, but I don't know if he's looking to donate it or what. So, Jimmy, you'll reach out to him, right, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely.
And my camera is going to crap on me again. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight.
Good night. Hey, we'll see you guys next week. We have another great show planned for you all. Maybe we'll get an update on the cross country chase. I'll bring some other things into play. And we'll see you guys next week.
Pledge some money.